Peterson dancing around, goes back the other way, runs by Fletcher Cox, he'll get to the end zone, and a touchdown for Peterson. He has just tied Walter Payton for number 4 all-time career rushing touchdowns in NFL history. 110 of them for Peterson. Wentz looking around, still looking, and the ball is stripped from behind, and it looks like the Redskins have it. Stripped out of there by Ryan Anderson, and the Redskins have the football as Jonathan Allen.
Well, he does a great job of coming back off of bite tie as Carson Wentz tries to tuck it and run, and we understand, and the great quarterbacks, the ones that have a constant presence and knowledge in the pocket, always keep 2 hands on that football when they're stepping up into the pocket for that very reason. Again, Ryan Anderson, who's played really well today.
Yep.
And remember, he was flagged for a bogus.
They go to the option, and Haskins into the open field. Inside the 20 and down to the 12-yard line. How about a season? Hard to believe. Back of the end zone, and it is a touchdown to Steven Sims Jr. What a start today for Dwayne Haskins Jr. Receiving touchdown of this season.
Wow, ball placement. There's left foot down, right foot touches. Confirmed touchdown. But in order to be good in this league as a quarterback, you have to know where to put the football away from the defender, trusting that your receiver...
He's off to the races. Inside the 20 and a touchdown for Terry McLaurin, the former Buckeye. Both of those guys recruited. They go to the option, and Haskins into the open field. Inside the 20 and down to the 12-yard line. How about that call? And again, Haskins runs it to perfection.
Well, Urban's over here
at the 10-yard line. Peterson dancing around, goes back the other way, runs by Fletcher Cox, he'll get to the end zone, and a touchdown for Peterson. He has just tied Walter Payton for number 4 all-time career rushing touchdowns in NFL history.
And we're back. Live from the lab, CP3 Sports on the Hill podcast, True Radio Network for Redskins Talk, Week 15 recap. Loss to the Eagles, 37-27. The score is very misconceiving. It was not that 10-point game. It was a bad play at the end of the game. Haskins, gave the ball up. They ran it in for a touchdown, which helped the guys in Vegas because they covered the point spread, which wasn't going to happen for that play, but that's for another conversation another day. I'm going to give my quick synopsis. If you didn't tune in to the post-game live yesterday that I put out there on YouTube and on Facebook, I guess I'll go ahead and rehash some of the things I spoke about yesterday before we get DujunneaB on the line. And we got Paul, the boxing guy. He talks a little football, a little baseball, and a lot of boxing. So we're going to get some different outlooks on what's going on in Redskins Park. As I mentioned, if you're tuning in for Diane Cheeseborough, unfortunately, has some unforeseen circumstances. She won't be on tonight to get that inside view of what's going on in Redskin Park, because I got some questions about since Bill Callhan's taking over. So like I told you before, got any questions, any things you want to talk about next week when we have her on, feel free to write them down, chime in on the Facebook Live, the YouTube Live. It's all up and running now. Hopefully I don't have any more technical issues because I had a little one to start this session. But let's get back into this game. first half, I was very impressed with the play calling, with the play of Haskins. They were actually throwing the ball on first down, and they were successful at it. Actually put up 14 points in the first half when they only averaged 14 points a game. Had over 200 yards of offense, like maybe 5 yards short of what they average a game. So you can see progression, you see growth. Adrian Peterson, the ageless wonder, still out there doing it, made some cuts like he was still in his 4th, 5th year in the league, looking to get 1,000 yards. He's a little over 200 yards short. Excuse me, but he's definitely looking to try to get back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons with this team. And with 2 division games coming up, you can be sure that there's going to be ample chance for him to run the ball, even with the offensive line banged up with Brandon Sheriff out, Wes Martin getting his first start at right guard when he was drafted to play left guard. He had a very, very good game. Eric Flowers, he's been unheralded how he's made the transition from tackle to guard, playing very well. Even Penn has been, holding it down on that left side. Defense, a lot of folks are super critical about Josh Norman giving up the, lead taking touchdown to the young guy. I put a post out yesterday. It wasn't all on Josh. It was some other things. If you're going to try to put the whole game on him, it's ridiculous. There was a lot of other things going on in that game. But for the most part, the defense played well. They were hungry. There were miscommunications, but that's what you're going to get when you get youth and inexperience. It's called growing pains. And, as long as they aren't repeating the same mistakes, then you see you're making progress. We saw a couple of weeks ago receivers roaming wide open, in the zone, not covered. We saw that a few times yesterday, but you got a lot of youth, second year, first year players out there that's learning. And with Philadelphia's offense, with those crossing route / rub routes that they were, the commentator was so adept at explaining why they weren't calling the flag when you clearly see it should have been a flag. But like I always say, we're not going to blame the refs for wins or losses, but they definitely contributed to the outcome of this game, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But the team played very well. I mentioned in my keys to victory, the wide receivers need to step up and make plays and should have more chemistry with Haskins since they've been playing together for a few weeks now, and we're seeing that Haskins, learning from his mistakes. He had a couple of bad throws, his mechanics didn't look good on those throws, didn't set his feet, throwing off his back foot. But he didn't have any interceptions. He had his best game as a pro. What was it? He went 19 for 28, 261 yards with 2 touchdowns, no picks, with a quarterback rating of 121 to end the game. So for a rookie quarterback and his 6th start, making the way he started out and the way he is now, definitely see progress. I definitely like what I see. And on that note, I'm going to bring in DujunneaB and get his take on some of the things we just spoke about and some of the other things going around Redskins Park. What's going on, DujunneaB? How you doing tonight, good sir?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. We was hoping for a victory Monday. It looked like it might happen. It looked like it could have happened. But unfortunately, the team came up a little short. They made some mistakes, in the late parts of the game. Normally they make the mistakes early. You can recover from it. But unfortunately, there were a couple of, rookie mistakes that were made by some players, bad decisions. Nothing drastic, nothing cut-worthy or whatever. Just, on-the-field experience. But other than that, we talked about it at the bye week with Callhan taking over. We will see a better product on the field, and now we can finally say some of the talent that we've seen on paper is finally showing up on the field.
Yeah, man. You look at I had a chance to look at the turnover, and, what was interesting about it is that week after week, this team competes, and it was another week where it was more than just them competing. It felt like there was some kind of resolve, like there was some fight in the team, some grit there. All things, everybody was trying to do whatever they could to try to win that game. It was displayed, throughout. The way Ryan Anderson played, you look at Haskins and his play. The play calling was conducive to him to kind of unleash things, and yesterday. And, we've been talking about this, about his movement in the pocket and all of that. And, he looked really comfortable. Looked like he did at Ohio State. Being comfortable, moving and then setting his feet, making some throws downfield. The whole option thing was creative. You see the talent just shine, and it had to be really positive. And it's unfortunate the defense couldn't take care of their end of the bargain at the end, but you have to be really encouraged as a fan to see all these young people go out there and ball, and to see them fighting the way that they are. It's really impressive. And it says a lot about Callhan as well. I know there was a lot made of his press conference and all, but the guys really wanted to win, and he definitely really wanted to win. I know I'm sure he thinks that he has an opportunity and should be given an opportunity to be evaluated for this head coaching job. I think that's positive as well, to see how he's gotten the most out of a lot of these guys, and they're continuing to progress week after week. Wes Martin, I've been telling people about that since the senior role, man. So he just needs the opportunity to get out there. He has the ability. I thought he would be really great at left guard. I said it about Eric Flowers. I think we had that conversation on this show about him moving the guard and what that would do for him. And he had, some little things he had to iron out. So, there's a lot to build here, and I think that's one thing I've been preaching since the offseason. There's a lot to build from here. The young talent is amazing, and you just give them an opportunity to shine, and put them in positions just to make plays, and they continue to grow and execute. You have these types of results. So I know people are concerned about draft position and all of that. If they win, they win. They don't, they don't. But either way, looking competitive as they have been, it definitely should be encouraging for Redskins fans going forward. And I know fans want more to happen, and I'm sure that will. But on the field product, looking the way it is, I think people should be encouraged.
Definitely agree. But most of the DC sports media and some of the fan base, they're not going to be content unless this team is beating teams 50-0 and the quarterback throws for 5 touchdowns and 500 yards, yada 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 yada. But you can see the progression in Haskins. I mentioned in the keys of victory, like I said, the wide receiver stepping up, making plays. You got Haskins out there, 130 yards receiving, touchdown, broke one for 75. And the bright spot of his day wasn't that 75-yard catch and run. It was the fact that he sealed the block that enabled Adrian Peterson to get that cutback run for the touchdown that gave the Redskins the lead late in the fourth quarter. So these guys are hungry. They out there, putting in the effort. You got a coach that's, game planning for these guys, that's actually working toward their strengths and not some crazy plan that he has in his head of the way he wants to win. You see preparation, you see will, you see want. And with Callhan, I didn't get a chance to watch the press conference yet. I know I heard he stormed off and was upset, but I feel like he had a right to be upset with those personal foul calls. I said a little bit about it yesterday. I'm not really going to harp on it, but those calls were ridiculous. All 3 of them. The one on Ryan Anderson that was so-called a low hit on the quarterback, he wrapped him up around his waist. The one on Deron Payne, I don't even know how they call that a penalty. And then the Monte Nicholson hit, okay, he didn't have to, shoulder him, but Ertz wasn't hurt. He was off balance, he hit the ground, and he laid there acting like he was hurt and got the flag. So those 3 penalties extended scoring drives for the Eagles, which helped them, yada, 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 yada. But yet still on a pass interference call that should have been called against, Eagles in a crucial time for the Redskins, they don't give them the pass interference, but it should have been at least a legal contact. They couldn't even give them that. So it's like, I just want consistency with the call. So I definitely understand Callhan's frustration with that. But the defense was playing well. Like I said, some miscommunications, but you got youth out there. Josh Norman came in. He finally spoke to the media for the first time since being benched, basically. And, he pretty much know the writings on the wall. You got these young guys out there, even with Dunbar, who's one of the, I guess, veteran guys out there on the defense, having 4 years under his belt. He wasn't even out there. You had Johnson, you had Moreland, you had Moreau. Those are second and third year rookie players out there that did a pretty good job at containing the Eagles' offense, because no one wants to give the Eagles' offense credit, even though they had so-called backup players out there. They still fit the scheme of what they do. And when you have a brilliant offensive coordinator like Doug Peterson, who knows how to set up his plays and strategic and, uses formations and, deception to get his game going, I mean, I didn't have a problem with the way the game, the way the defense played. I hated the way it ended. I was pissed at the end, but all in all, the effort was there. They was in the game to the end, and it was a winnable game. And unfortunately, they weren't able to seal the deal.
Yeah, I think the frustration is those lapses are regular occurrence. It seems to happen every time the Redskins offense does something positive. They should be held accountable for that. Sure, there were some, I don't know how many times we have to talk about how ignorant these calls are getting. And here it is, we need to happen week after week. The league continues to not address the problem. So, with that said, though, they've got to close out. You got to find a way. You play well all game, and whether it's scheme, whatever it is, like, you can't continue to give up the ghost every time the offense does something positive to put them in position to win. You got to at least hit on one of them, and they haven't hit on one all season. I'm not even going to count Miami. Miami, they burped and sharded, and the Redskins capitalized. They were in position, but, I mean, that could have gotten ugly quickly. So, yeah, they've got to do that. And other than that, and aside from those things, you have to like what's going on. The Brian Anderson that everyone hoped and wanted and hoped that he would be, he's starting to show out. The young talent that's coming in here and the way they're balling, that front is just dominating people. It's awesome to see. And the young corners, how they're balling, how they're playing, their physicality. You have to be excited what you see over there. I think some of it has to do with schematics and youth, of course, but you got to at least get one. That would have been the one to get, but it didn't happen. So it is what it is, and on to next week.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, it was a good game. I mean, the first half was, good between, everybody talking about how bad the NFC East is and yada yada yada. It was good, clean football and entertaining football. Yeah, it was a good game. So I mean, besides the 2-minute drill with Haskins, he got a little happy feet and made a couple of bad decisions. But other than that, I was impressed with the kid. He went out there. You see him improving week in and week out, getting better. So I mean, I'm good to where it is. With Callhan and O'Connell, I was, like I mentioned earlier, I was impressed with the play calling and some of the things that they were doing. I mentioned in my pregame, motion and, having a wide receiver come in motion to give the defense other things to think about. And we constantly saw that, the wide receiver moving in motion, fake handoff, just to give the defense something to think about. And we saw Cam Sims with, got to first talk about Haskins with the throw for the touchdown at Cam Sims, his first career receiving touchdown. The throw that Haskins made was pinpoint accurate, and the fact that Sims was able to get his feet in, that quickly and that close to the end zone, the end line, it was a thing of beauty to play the McLaurin. It was a little high, but he let him enough where he could, make a move and, break it, which he did. And you're seeing the, maturation of this young guy week in and week out getting better and developing. And it only makes sense that you keep O'Connell along with this young core and let Callhan lead the way and O'Connell can learn under him. And then we talked about this last week. I don't want to go into it because I'm going to end up writing an article about it. But do you see, what I see? I mean, I know we mostly agree most of the time, but we do disagree sometimes. Do you see the potential in Haskins that I see? I know I saw you put the tweet out about, is he still a bust now after, he finally starting to get some time to, get himself together and get established. So do you see the same things that I see, that this guy could possibly be, a quarterback for this team going forward? Or do you think they should be looking at quarterback in the upcoming draft?
I've said it since day one, man. The kid's got all the tools. It's up to coaching to play to his strengths, especially in his first year. I like his pocket presence is second to none. And as you see now, that game plan that O'Connell was able to put together, and not being handcuffed by Callhan, you see him with the movement, his natural ability to move in the pocket and be able to extend the play a little bit to make a play downfield, hopefully, for a pass, or decide to run it. You see the option play, those types of things. I thought he played exceptionally well. He was in a rhythm, and that's important for a guy like him. And the offensive line protecting well was good and helped out a lot. But yeah, he's got all the tools, man. I never once thought that there was anything that you would bring in a quarterback like that. We've seen this story already. Cousins and Griffin weren't enough. I mean, you could say it was smart because Griffin got hurt. Don't want to get into all of that, but you create a controversy that just doesn't need to be there. You need to let this kid take the keys and allow him to see if he can be the king of his kingdom and see if his baby Simba can be a king. And I think he's got all the tools to do just that. It's up to the organization to do the right thing and continue to build on the pieces that they've begun to put in place and hit on a lot more of these than miss, especially within the free agency market. So, my thing on Callhan, I don't have a huge problem with it, but I think it just needs to start from the top. Whether I don't know whether you just reshuffle, get Bruce out, let him retire, and go with some of the guys like Eric Schaefer in the group and let them run the deal, or you bring in a guy. If you're going to do that, bring in a GM, then I think it's in the best interest of the football team to allow that GM to pick the coach. So, I understand what you got or what you think you have in O'Connell. And it looks like, now that he's able to call his kind of game plan for Haskins, I think you have to like the results there. So there's potential. But I think it's ultimately up to the GM. And if you're going to go that route, because then you just kind of start this thing that we've always had, something being forced upon another GM or a GM is being, a coach is being forced on a GM and vice versa. And, that's not how it should go. You want that guy picking all the groceries and setting himself up for success. So that's just my viewpoint on that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things go out, especially with Urban Meyer sitting in the owner's box, even though Terry McLaurin said that he was his guest. He was at the Army-Navy game the day before, and he, wanted him there. You already heard the rumors swirling. I've been on social media and seen some of the stuff that folks is putting out there saying that, the writing's on the wall, that Urban Meyer's going to be the next Redskins coach and all this and that. But, it's going to be interesting to see how it all folds out. This Giants matchup that's coming up next week, interesting. They're both in the bottom of the league and looking to be a top draft choice. There's been conversation about, Robbie was speaking of Brian Brennan earlier, about the Giants and should they try to lose the last two games and gain draft position, try to draft Chase Young. I've heard about him. I mentioned him, to you in passing a couple of weeks ago, and I watched some film on him. I saw he got the award for the best, linebacker in college, top linebacker that is. So, what do you see from this Giants game coming up? Like I said, I don't care about wins or losses. I just want to see improved product on the field, and I've been content. I ain't gonna say happy, but I've been content with what I've seen so far, and can't wait to see these last two games under Callhan to see what they can do. But what do you see about this Giants matchup that's coming up with the Giants actually winning yesterday?
I think it's going to be interesting. From the Redskins offensively, what I want to see is them allowed to. I hope this is going to be the norm. Letting O'Connell put together the entire game plan. I like what I saw this week. And I think you can build off of that. Their defense isn't that great. It'll be a pretty good matchup, I think. The defensive side of the ball, I just want to see them get after it. Get after it and make life hell for whoever's going to be back there, quarterback, and try to build off of the performance that they had this week. And that's about it. If they win, they don't, they don't. And I know people in there, the draft talk and all that, and that's great. But, we talked about this before. I am not for, if you win in the process, great. But the main thing we want is the progress with the football team. And it results in a win, then so be it. But, always talk about Young. It's great, and he's nice. Don't get me wrong, but, you don't have a second-round pick. And if you got the top pick, one of the top picks, top 5 picks, guess what? You're getting a lot of picks for that top pick. And there's a lot of quarterbacks, and there's about a handful of quarterbacks that people want. And there's going to be a couple teams up there that are in that top 5 that don't need them. And there's going to be a few that's going to want Young. You take them picks because you're going to get some really good ones. And you turn them around into players that, so you can have another solid class and come in and either be contributors or starters. So one player does not make the team. And I have yet to see anybody draft a first-round overall pick with a team like the Washington Redskins have and are trying to put together and done anything special. So they have some special players on this team, and you just need to continue to pick those high-quality players by generating more picks, because we know they ain't always first-rounders. That's for sure.
No doubt. And it's also going to be interesting with all the cap space that the Skins are going to have once they sever ties with Norman, get Trent up out of here, and a couple of free agents, making moves that's, coming up. So it's going to be interesting to see how this offseason, unfolds. I always say it's not as bad as some of the mainstream DC sports media make it seem, or some of the fan base seem all gloom and doom, like the team is, doesn't have any direction or doesn't know where it's going. We've seen that in the past. I'm not acting like it's something that hasn't happened around here. But if you take a step back and take the emotion out of it in the fandom and look at what's going on with this team, you see that there is, progress being made, that they're righting the ship from the debacle of, Snyder's run and bad decisions he's made. In my opinion, a few bad decisions that's caused a huge ripple effect through this franchise. But I feel like they're on the right path to getting things going in the right direction to finally get the ship right and start winning some games, because that's all that really matters. But, DujunneaB, let the folks know what you're working on and what you got coming up soon. So I'll let you get out. I know you got some work to do, and we got Paul, the boxing guy, on, so we can talk some boxing at the end of this hour and get ready to get up out of here.
We got everything at SportsOTHP. Had a little article on Caleb Wilson signing. Talked about him a little bit as far as his abilities, and if he could be an asset to the football team in the future. Of course, podcast, going to try to start getting some shows up here. Going to hopefully have one before the end of the year, and then we're going to get really ramped up in the first of the year. So, just gearing it down for the closeout of 2019, and continue to do his Redskins stuff and all that good stuff. So, you know where to find me. Not Blame 21.
All right, no doubt. Appreciate you taking the time as always. I'll let you go handle your business, and I'll holler at you later on, brother.
All right, brother.
Later. All right, as always, we appreciate DujunneaB taking the time out to drop some knowledge, some insight. As I said, next week we'll have Diane Cheeseborough on to get that Redskins Park inside insight from somebody that's at the park every day. As I always say, we're not anonymous source over here. We not secret sources. We put some of our sources on there. I'm not gonna put all of my sources out there, but we got Diane Cheeseborough hopefully calling in next week, talking some inside information, not inside information, but inside news that you don't get everywhere else from somebody that's actually there at the park every day. And on that note, I'm going to bring in Paul, the boxing guy. I know he probably got a little bit to talk about the skins before we talk some boxing. Paul, how you doing tonight, good sir?
My man Carl, doing pretty good. How you doing?
Can't complain. Another great show coming to an end. We got the Caps game on. Unfortunately, still down 1-0 with a minute 20 left in the second on the road in Columbus, trying to get that game time goal. Columbus is playing them real tough. And I got the Monday Night Football game on, Saints and the Colts. Saints up 3-0 with 4 minutes left in the first quarter, and the Colts are punting on the 4th and 8 on their 40. No, on New Orleans 40, so it's going to be a pooch punt if they don't fake it. They're going to punt it, and look like coverage is decent. And he angled it. Looked like he got it on the 10-yard line. Good punt. New Orleans gets the ball back, looking to add to their lead. So, Paul, what is your impressions of this Redskins game that we just witnessed yesterday? 37-27 loss to the Eagles, dropping them to 3-11.
Hey man, I think it went about as expected. Like you guys been talking. I keep seeing fans getting mad all the time. Who've been hollering. Going into the season, I don't know what fans expected. We knew we had a hurt quarterback in Alex Smith that was unavailable totally. We knew that the team was in a kind of a playing catch-up mode because you don't sign a quarterback and expect that to happen, right? We knew we had the injuries with Colt McCoy. We knew Haskins was just drafted. We knew we signed Case Keenum, and the high probability he wouldn't be there. We went into he wouldn't be there all season. We knew there was a high probability through Vegas that said that Jay Gruden had the highest odds to be the first coach fired in the season. So I don't really know what these Skins fans who are mad want. For all these years, they said we need to just realize that we need to actually just stink it up so we can actually rebuild instead of always trying to buy our way into the playoffs. So they do that and just address the need so we can, field a somewhat competent team and let the young guys grow, like bringing in Case Keenum to kind of, help bring along a guy like Haskins because they knew they were going to draft him if he was available. And now they're 3-11, and people are mad at that. So, then they say, well, Jay Gruden passes too much. So we got Bill Callhan in there, and now they say he runs too much. They want to see young receivers develop, and, but then they criticize Sims because he's dropping passes, but then he gets a touchdown. It's just, Carl, it's why I stay offline. Because it's like, nobody wants a 3-11 team, okay? But at the same time, it is what it is. And like you guys stated a minute ago about Dan Snyder trying to right the ship, it takes time. One thing we criticize Dan Snyder about is cutting coaches loose too early. He gave Jay Gruden his time. He didn't have any allegiance to Jay Gruden. I mean, Bruce Allen and him had a history. The only thing criticism about Snyder mainly that's been consistent is his dedication to his friends, meaning mainly his GMs, staying too long. And I really do think this is going to be the end of the line for Bruce Allen. And, I'm not a fan of I don't like to do rumors, right? But, we heard the rumors about Urban Meyer, all this and that. This is rumor season. I don't get into none of that. I just feel like this. The next guy he brings in, I I think he's not going to make the mistake again of trying to bring in guys out of order. He's going to bring in a GM, and he's going to let the GM determine if he wants to keep these guys, bring in his own guys, and build this team the right way. So, it is what it is, man. I just want to see the young guys play and develop and see guys like y'all said a minute ago, Ryan Anderson develop too, because, he was MIA for a while. And let's just see where this goes, man. The NFC East is in shambles right now. Let's just see where this goes.
No doubt, no doubt.
I'm not mad.
Yeah, it is what it is. We've talked about it extensively. We see the writing on the wall. We see the changes. We see, what's going to happen. Just got to wait and see, and hopefully we see improvement and go from there. But let's go ahead and get into some boxing talk, because it was definitely a good fight this weekend. They had the undercards on, but I wasn't really paying attention to them too closely. I was waiting for the Crawford fight come on, and that fight didn't disappoint. I can't even pronounce the number one contender's name, so I'm not even going to try. But they were battling. The first 5 rounds was kind of even, filling each other out. Even I think the contender, he won 2 of the first 5 rounds, which isn't bad for somebody, going up against Crawford. But as I was watching the fight and watching Crawford, figure things out, he was feinting, he was faking the hook, he was doing things just to see how he would react and trying to get his timing down. So when he did ready to unload that big bomb, it was right. And the 6th round, it started, which we predicted. He knocked him down in the 6th round and basically took him out in the 7th after he basically dissected him, see how he moved, see how he reacted to certain things that he did. And once he knew his reaction and saw how he would react, he just basically picked him apart, and it was just a beautiful thing to watch. I was at work getting hyped, watching it, because it was just beautiful to watch a technician like that go to work and then execute and take him out all at the same time when you basically saw him do it from round 1 to round 7 when it was over. What was your opinion of this fight?
Hey, look, I was upset with myself because I missed it live, but I avoided any breakdowns and critiques about it until I watched it, because I was on the road. I had a funeral to attend, so I didn't get to see it live. But as I watched it, here's the thing, all right? And nobody that listens to the show, it's not a secret that I think that in a head-to-head matchup, which I don't think will happen anytime soon, Spence versus Crawford, I still will go with Spence, because, it's not a slight against Crawford. Now, I'm saying that to lead off because anyone who doesn't know a lot about boxing will watch that fight, and they would hear about Crawford and they would say, well, he didn't look that good. Here's the thing. If you know what you're looking for, like that's why I was saying when you was giving your analysis, Carol, because you know what to look for. The whole fight. Here's the thing, right? Crawford's 34, okay? And like Roy Jones, people often give me flack when I would say Roy Jones isn't the best boxer. He's the best, most athletic fighter ever, and he relied on that athleticism to dominate, right? So when you don't use the most technical of boxing styles, you utilize other methods, and there's nothing wrong with that. Look at Barry Sanders, one of the best running backs of all time, but he drove coaches crazy, because his methods were a little different. Now, I say that to say about Crawford, he switches up between southpaw and orthodox a lot. Terrence Crawford gets caught sometimes, but that's because Terrence Crawford knows when he's taking a risk. Terrence Crawford, and it's sort of like Deontay Wilder, right, where I used to give him a lot of flack, for getting hit a lot. But he ain't ever been knocked out, and he knocks everybody the hell out. I'm making that comparison to say Terrence Crawford at 24 for southpaw. Now, I was watching him fight this guy. I said, I don't know why he's fighting an orthodox fighter, southpaw, because every advantage that he has as a southpaw, he gives the orthodox fighter. But at the same time, I started watching. I kind of think that he was using this fight as kind of a practice session. He knew this guy couldn't really hurt him, right? Even when he was landing against Crawford, that knockdown that was ruled not. Crawford was rolling with the punch. The guy, I give it to him. The guy was, getting inside of Terrence Crawford's shot, but Terrence Crawford kept filling him out with that jab. He kept on, maintaining foot position and stepping outside of his opponent's left foot whenever he wanted to, which is a southpaw. When you're fighting against the orthodox fighter, it's different. You want your outside foot. You want your lead foot to be the outside, so you can land that short, left hand or, power hand. And I thought, his opponent was actually at first kind of doing a good job of keeping Terrence Crawford, inside. But then you started seeing Terrence Crawford, stick that jab out there, go high, go low. And it kind of threw his opponent off, threw his timing off, because his opponent was, I'm saying his opponent because I can't pronounce his name, I'm not going to try. He kept that side-to-side head movement, which, effectively, it was fine at first, but it was too rhythmic. And Terrence Crawford, a guy like him, was going to pick that off. Now, what I was waiting on was, I was waiting on to start incorporating that lead hook. Because if you're a natural right-handed fighter like Crawford is, but you stand southpaw, you have a really quick and hard lead hook. And that's what you started to see. So it gave that man something to think about when he was trying to step in there and land his right cross, because he thought he had the advantage with the foot position. Crawford took some shots. So Crawford knew he was going to take some shots, because I think he was practicing. Why? Because I think he knows that his next fight is either going to be Sean Porter or Errol Spence. Guys who like to fight inside, guys who can also fight outside. Guys that can hurt you, but at the same time, Crawford being 34, he can't rely on pure athleticism no more. So I kind of think that's what he was doing to this guy. He kind of was retooling himself, experimenting, and I was just waiting. I said, when he flips back orthodox, which he will do, it's over for this guy. And if you notice, when he started to actually hurt this dude, is when he started to switch up. Because the first 6 rounds or so, he was almost exclusively southpaw. He didn't go with right hand at all. But then once he switched back to orthodox, he started mixing his shots up, and then that's when you started to see him come in like the Lomachenko style, where he may throw a left hook in from orthodox stance, but then he'd come back with an overhand right from a southpaw stance, and it mixes the shots up, and it effectively threw his opponent off balance. Once I saw that, I was like, oh, it's almost over. In that combo for that first knockdown, when he feinted over the top, and he came up with that left uppercut, and then that right hook over the top, man. That was a thing of beauty. So
no doubt.
I just feel like at 34, Carl, he's taking the Deontay Wilder approach, meaning I'm gonna lull you to sleep a little bit and make you forget that I can explode on your ass when I set you up and see how you react and get your timing down. And I think that's what Crawford did.
Yeah, it's like I said, I watch boxing. I'm not as in depth as you, but the only other fighter that I've seen that Crawford fights like that, every move is calculated and every step that he takes is, with a leverage perspective and making sure that he has the advantage, is going back to Felix Trinidad. Because when he used to fight, like every move that he made was calculated, and like you say, he knew the risk, he knew what he was doing, and if he caught you with it at the right angle at the right time, you're done. And he would lull you to sleep. He'd just throw that jab out there like, okay, yeah, I'm just having fun. I'm just out here. And then, boom, he'd just explode on you. And he'd take that first step. And like I say, the footwork is key. He'd take that step forward, and he'd come through with that jab and that overhand right. And if he catch you, it's over. And Crawford is just so good at doing that. And like you say, just baiting him and just seeing how he reacts to the feint. And like I said, he got caught with some clean shots. But like you said, it was apparent that dude couldn't hurt him. I was a little worried at first, but, after he absorbed a couple of them in the exchanges and started picking them apart, it really wasn't a concern. It was just to the point where you was just watching him basically break him down, from the body to the head, and just basically it was like you said, it was like a sparring session. It's like he took his best shot, he figured him out, now he's going to play with him, and then he's going to put him away like a cat with a dead mouse, man. It was just crazy. It was a beauty thing, like you said, a thing of beauty to watch.
It was great, and here's the other thing too. If anyone is concerned, I kept mentioning he's 34, and if when you get older, you got to start making little changes, especially when you're athletic, right? But I want to remind people, very few, unlike most fighters who are champions, very few of his fights actually are early knockouts. I mean, you got to go back to when he was fighting tomato cans, like every fighter does when they first come out. Even his first two of his first 4 fights, I think. No, 3 of his first 4 fights weren't even knockouts. So, most of his early fights were, unanimous decision. And then even if you look at most of his knockouts, they came after round 4, round 5, round 6, round 8. He had a couple, I think he fought, who was the guy he just fought recently? When he whooped him out, Amir Khan. I thought he was going to get Amir Khan out in round 2. He took him 6 rounds. Jose Benavidez TKO'd him round 12. Jeff Horn, TKO, round 9. So, people just got to remember, man, like,
is not about trying to be the quickest. You don't always want to get the quick knockouts. Old school was like with Mike Tyson, for example. They used to get mad because they would say, "Man, you got to get some rounds under your belt." And that's one thing that Terrence Crawford got, and that's also something else that I keep talking about Deontay Wilder, that he's starting to get, more rounds under his belt. I'm not gonna get tired, and he dictates the pace, dictates the action, and scores a knockout when he wants to, and that's what he did.
No doubt, no doubt. Breaking news: Kansas City Chiefs just claimed Terrell Suggs off waivers. I forgot what team waived him the other day, but the Chiefs are picking him up. And also breaking news: Josh Gordon, the much maligned chance given over and over again, has just been suspended indefinitely from the league for testing positive for PEDs and substance abuse in Seattle after he got picked up about a month ago. Unfortunately, some guys just can't get right. But
can't get right, man.
Yeah, pretty much. We about to wrap this.
At least can't get right still can play. For all we know, can't get right never got kicked out the Negro League.
No doubt. Yeah, these folks gotta get it together. And Drew Brees just threw a touchdown pass to Michael Thomas, give the Saints a 9-0 lead. That ties him with Brett Favre for the second most touchdowns in the NFL history with 538. He's one behind Peyton Manning, 539. So tying the number one spot and looking to take the lead. Last week as my fantasy quarterback, I left him on the bench. He put up 40 points and 4 touchdowns. This week I started him up, even though I'm out the playoffs. But looked like he's on his way to breaking that record tonight. It's 12:37 left in the second quarter, and the Saints are about to be up 10-0. Paul, let the folks know where they can find you because we about to get out of here. We got about 5 minutes left in the show.
Yes, indeed. Catch me on Instagram, pugilist_HQ, or P from Charlotte. And not to keep going, just want to say some updates real quick on this Saturday. You got the Jamil Charlo versus Tony Harrison 2 fight coming up. That's a much anticipated rematch for me. I think Tony Harrison got Jamil Charlo's heart a little bit. I'm expecting Tony Harrison to win again. Slick defensive fighter, got about 4 inches of height on him, about the same age, and 3 inches of reach. I think it's going to be a repeat of the last one. That's coming up this Saturday. And Javante Davis fights the next Saturday on the 28th.
Yeah, we got an action-packed December with fights every weekend, look like, and some good stuff. So hope to have you back on next week, recapping these fights. And I appreciate you taking the time. And let the folks know where they can find you before we get out of here.
Yes, indeed. Pugilist_HQ or P from Charlotte at Instagram. And hopefully when I come back on next week, my Tony Harrison versus Charlo prediction comes true. I got it by split decision, Tony Harrison.
All right, y'all heard it here first. Paul, he's right more than he's wrong. So if you're going to put some money down, when I get some, I'm going to put some down. I just ain't got nothing right now to put down on it because he be right more than he wrong. And I could use a couple extra dollars. But, Paul, I appreciate you taking the time. You have a good night, and I'll holler at you later on, bro.
Yes, sir. Good to be on. Appreciate it, brother.
All right. About to end this great show that we had. Like I said, unfortunately, we couldn't get Diane Cheeseborough on. Had appreciate Robbie G, Anna K, Brian, Brennan, Tim, Arun, Paul, DujunneaB, everybody for calling in. I'm about to get ready to get out of here. Want to give a shout out to my man, not even a shout out. One of my folks, Dre, passed away this past weekend. I was going to dedicate this show to him. I forgot to at the beginning, so I got to give a shout out to him and his family. Rest in peace, brother. Know we hadn't talked in a while. We had lost touch over the past couple of years, but he was a stand-up dude. He was always about your business. You always handling your money, and you was always, doing what needed to be done to get the job done, man. You're going to be missed. Love you, bro. Rest in peace. Going to play one of my favorite tracks. Eminem, You Never Always, one of my favorites because it's one of my dad's favorite Eminem tracks. Yes, my dad used to listen to Eminem. And we'll be out of here. Make sure you tune in next week. Sports on the Hill podcast on True Radio Network, starting at 7 o'clock as always. I should be down at Martini's this Sunday for NFL pregame and postgame. If not, I'll be live from the lab, previewing the game and recapping the game before and after every Redskins game every Sunday or Monday or whenever they play. Y'all be safe. Have a good night. Make sure you go check out the website, SportsOTHP.com. Check out the YouTube channels. Excuse me. And make sure you go subscribe and let folks know you got real DC sports out here. DC sports coverage out here, that is. DC sports without the politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do.
I want to write the sickest rhyme of my life. So sick of the blow up the mic.